I just don't understand you. Why is it that this last generation has become a generation of sluts and empty men who are incapable of raising a family, who are much like girlfriends with a male appendage attached to their body? Have the girls descended so far down the scale of social evolution that they think God put them on the planet simply to have an orgasm and to get drunk and puke on themselves in a nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning? Who is responsible for this this disgusting imagery that we are that is paraded before us on a daily basis? These celebrity sluts like Paris Hilton, who we all detest. Anyone who does not detest her is a psychotic. How could you not detest these people? It's impossible not to detest what they stand for. They stand for the vapidity of our times. They stand for the death of the West. They stand for the decadence that most sane people do not want to engage in. If you check out the connections between this and the media, you'll find out that there's a reason that Western women do not want to have children and that Western boys have become much like girls with a male appendage, sort of like a pocketbook with short hair for the girls to drag around and show off for a while until they dismiss them and get another human satisfier toy called a man. The men will not have children. They don't even understand that it is the mark of a man to get married and have children. The women don't want to have children because it might spoil their bods. And after all, isn't it all about their bods and their abs and their butt and their lats? Isn't that what the girls want, are good butts and good abs and good lats? Now, why is it that girls are behaving sort of like homosexuals in their mentality? And why is it that our boys are leading a sort of homosexualized lifestyle in their own way? How is it that the entire West, in essence, is engaging in a dance of death, which in many ways mimics the gay lifestyle? How did that happen? I'll let you put two and two together. But I have to take my hat off to the Pope. The Pope is the intellectual, the religious intellectual leader of the West. There are no Jewish leaders, I am sorry to tell you, speaking out as clearly and as succinctly as the Pope does on so many issues. The Pope said last week that homosexuals are destroying themselves. And I want to read you what the Pope said. And if you have a problem with what I'm reading to you, why don't you send it to the Vatican, not to me? Pope Benedict XVI said homosexuals end up destroying themselves, so the church has a duty to speak out on moral issues that affect the very spiritual and physical lives of man. Now, most Americans know this, which is why anytime they're allowed to vote against homosexual marriage, which they know to be an abomination and a death service, not a life-giving service, they say no to the death service called homosexual marriage. Now, he didn't write that, I did. But I'll read you what the Pope said. I'm quoting now. Quote, in seeking to emancipate himself from his body, man ends up by destroying himself, close quote. The Pope told cardinals, archbishops, bishops, and members of the Roman Curia last week in a meeting overlooked by most of the world's press. The Pope also lamented low birth rates in Europe, saying couples no longer seem to want children. This fact, said the Pope, has penetrated my soul. He continued. He said men and women today are unsure about the future. This fact, alongside the desire to have all of life to themselves, is perhaps the most profound reason for which the risk of having children appears to many as almost unbearable. If we do not relearn the basic foundations of life, if we do not rediscover the certainty of faith, it will also be ever more difficult for us to give others the gift of life and the challenges of an unknown future. The Pope also referred to the controversy over homosexual marriage. He said, quote, at this point, I cannot fail to mention my concern over de facto couples. When new legislation is created that relativizes marriage, the rejection of the definitive bond gains judicial endorsement. Relativizing the difference between the sexes tacitly confirms those bleak theories which seek to remove all relevance from a human being's masculinity or femininity as if this were a purely biological matter. God bless Pope Benedict XVI for speaking out on the seminal issue of our time, which is the homosexual dance of death and the homosexualization of the West.
Savage.